and the final day for Men's Health Week. Today's session is a support group session, and that's run by everybody from the various support groups that I'll mention at the end. Men's support groups are obviously a vital space for discussing and challenging harmful notions of masculinity. They provide an opportunity for people to share personal experiences, feelings and coping strategies, and can help men better their lives in a number of different ways. Joining us today are some fantastic teams that offer support to men in our region and some nationally. We really hope that you find this session really helpful and that you're able to reach out and use some of the groups if you feel that you need some support in any way. All of the information for today is on our Humber Coast and Vale Wellbeing page, and I'll post the chat in the link in a little while. So obviously joining us today include groups such as the Resilience Hub, Fit Mums and Friends, Menfulness, Hull for Heroes and Men's Sheds. There'll be an opportunity to ask questions at the end of the session, but for now, if I could ask everybody to put yourselves on mute. And also just to let you know, the session will be recorded, and when we get to the end, we do the questions and answers. We'll do the kind of raising of hands, and we can try and get through everybody. So it's a jam-packed session today. So we'll start off with Krish and Amy from the Resilience Hub.
Thanks very much, Krish. If it's okay, I'm going to start by just sharing my screen, and then we can do some introductions and yeah, very quickly run through our presentation. And I think, as Krish said, that I think we've got questions at the end. So unfortunately, I mean, if you want, you can just put it on the chat and we can answer them at the end. That might be easier to remember. Can everybody see my slide?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to try and present. Oops, taking some time. There you go. Is that all right? So can everybody see my slide? I'm not sure. I can't see anyone.
Yeah.
Right, good. Thanks, Amy. So yeah, as Krish said, we are from the Humber Coast and Vale Resilience Hub. My name is Krish. I'm an assistant psychologist. And Amy, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Amy. I'm an assistant psychologist at the Resilience Hub.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to go to the next slide?
Yep, there you go.
So I thought we'd talk a bit about who we are first. So we're part of the Humber Coast and Vale Resilience Hub. We cover the whole of the Humber Coast and Vale region, where we provide support to health and care and social care staff, emergency service staff, charity and the voluntary sector staff and their immediate families. So we cover the regions of North Yorkshire, the Vale of York, East Riding of Yorkshire, Hull, North Lincolnshire and North East Lincolnshire. We were set up by NHS England in response to the COVID-19 pandemic to support staff who were already working in very stressful roles, and we were aware of the added pressures and demands put on as a result of the pandemic. So we've been set up to support with that. If you move on to the next slide, Krish, please. So how we can support individuals. So we provide one-to-one support. So you can get access support from specialist clinicians within our service. So when individuals self-refer into our service, you are provided with an initial assessment to give us an understanding of your needs, and then based around your needs we will work with you to decide how best we can support you, whether that being within the hub or whether that being externally with other services. We also have a range of group support, and Krish is going to talk a little bit further about the men's in particular in the next slide, but we do have long COVID, bereavement support as well, groups. And the one thing I would like to highlight as well is that we know that the confidentiality aspect is a barrier to people accessing support. So our key to our service is that it's confidential, it's separate from other organisations. However, with consent, we can liaise with the other organisations. So we're really there to support the staff with what they need, and we do also provide team and leadership training as well around resilience, and we have specialist clinicians on trauma, CBT clinicians, and we also offer a lot of self-help resources as well. And there's a lot of information on our website, which we'll come to later on in the presentation. I'm just going to hand over to Chris, who's going to speak a little bit more now about the men specific support.
Thanks, Amy. So yeah, I guess I've got a bit of a question for you guys, and this might be a complete guess or it might be an educated guess, but just hold in your mind, how many men do you think, or what percentage of men do you think actually refer into the hub? And this is just over the last couple of months, because that's the data we've pulled together right now. How many do you think that might be? Do you think it's I guess, a decent representation of men actually struggling, or is it just a subset of that? And because of the time, I'm just going to move on with that. I would have asked you otherwise. It's shockingly low. I think if you just look at the bit of the blue-green pie chart, in September, there were 16% of men out of all the referrals that we got in September. There were only 16% who were males. And in October, it was even less. And what do you think that means? I guess it can represent a couple of different things. It can show that maybe we aren't doing as good a job with outreach to men groups or men, or it can also just, I guess, highlight something that we already know, which is very well known, by personal experience in our conversations with other people and also in the literature, that there are a lot of barriers for men accessing support. And I guess we can easily spend half an hour thinking about these barriers and how do we overcome them. But just to highlight a couple of them, we know that there is individual and social barriers about men accessing support. There might be the idea of wanting to just plow on, carry through, not really stopping, saying, I don't need it, I'm just going to get on with it. And there's a stigma attached to it. But also sometimes there are specific difficulties that men have, and they might not want to speak about it with other people, especially a third-party organization. So I guess in terms of thinking about how do we go about increasing the space, how do you go about increasing the number of men referring into our service? Because that is ultimately our primary goal, because we're a new service. We really want to take this opportunity to make the most of it, not just do lip service, but actually try and make sure we are offering the space and we're making it accessible to men everywhere. I think the thing we started with was by creating a working group for men. It includes a few of us in the hub who are males, who are working psychologically to create this safe space, but it also includes the other clinicians who are females. And that's important because we don't want to just close it off based on gender, and these difficulties do affect everyone in a sense. So I think the main goal here is to create that safe, supportive space. And we've been working on this for a couple of months now, and we're thinking about starting drop-in sessions for men across the region, the Humber Coast and Vale region, to come in and discuss male-specific issues. Now, again, we know that in terms of barriers, we know that this might be tricky, this might be challenging for men to come in and speak to other men about male-specific issues, because it's something quite private. And we really want to create this space, which it does feel safe. And in doing that, we want to create a focus group. And I guess this is a bit of a call out and a bit of a plug that we would like you to come in and tell us what you think we should do. It's very much your chance to have a say and co-produce this service with us and help us think about what we can do better, because we know there's a lot to do. And if you have experienced any difficulties, or if you've seen somebody and you supported somebody who has, you might know what might be useful in reaching out to these to males across the area. Another thing that we are doing soon over the next few months is really pushing for raising awareness on men's mental health. And the way we're trying to do this is by creating newsletters that have, I guess, columns by male clinicians, and I guess not just male clinicians, but also similar to this amazing event that's being held right now, but having celebrities and people that we know, we recognize, and seeing them talk about the men's mental health. So have newsletters including that. Video diaries, very similar thing, except it's through video, something that I have done before, and I think I found it pretty interesting and quite easy to listen to and access. really spreads awareness. And we also want to start thinking about different events that we can hold, such as Men's Mental Health Week, and really thinking about opening the space up. I'm going to pass it over to Amy now.
Thanks, Krish. So how individuals can access our service. So I've put in the chat the website and the email address. So we are a self-referral service. So individuals can refer into the hub by completing a wellbeing questionnaire. That's then screened, and one of our clinicians will be in touch to have your initial appointment with the team. But also on the website, we have a range of self-help information, information for other services, crisis support as well. And then if you were interested in the service but you didn't feel you were able to refer yourself in following the wellbeing questionnaire, I've also included the email address for our hub, and that email box is monitored daily, and we are happy to support in helping anybody access our service. We just want to make it as accessible as possible. Back to you, Krish.
We're almost at the end, guys. I think we just wanted to put a slide on feedback because it is a new service and people might think, oh, how have people found it so far? From the feedback we're receiving, it seems that we're doing a good job. Obviously, that doesn't mean we're the best and we're perfect, but it shows that we're heading in the right direction in trying to offer this space to health and care staff across the region, and really trying to give them that, I guess, compassionate and validating ear, but also with the psychologically minded and therapeutic support when required. I'm going to just let you take a couple of minutes to just read this, and then I'll finish the presentation.
Thanks, Krish, Amy. It's really useful and really useful resources there for anybody who wants to access your service. We'll go on next to Dan from Menfulness. Hi, Dan.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes, that's a good start. Okay, I'll share my screen if you just bear with me. Let's hope this works, the magic of technology. Can everyone see that?
Not yet.
Not yet, has it popped up yet? Where have we gone? Bear with me. I don't know where my screen's gone. Oh, here we are. Can
Brilliant.
people see that? Are we on?
Yeah, we can see that now.
Right, apologies for the delay. It's technology for you, isn't it? Right, let's get this up and running. Yeah, I just want to start by saying thank you for inviting us down to present today with, so many fantastic organisations and schemes. It really is nice to be included. Come on, please work. There we go. Right, we're on. So yeah, hi everyone. Can everyone see this?
Yes, we can see it.
Cool, right, let's go. My name's Dan Bradley. I'm from Menfulness, which is based in York. Some of you might have heard of this, some of you might not. Just to be very brief as to who we are and what we do. We are a platform and a community for men in the region to socialise, seek advice, and get help and share. With a focus on positive mental health. I can certainly relate to what we do to what Amy and Krish were just saying in the previous session. Myself and the other 4 committee members have all had our own little brushes with mental health issues in the past. If I'm going to share with you, I got Bell's palsy. I'm 39. I got that when I was 25, and I got it quite severely. So I've got permanent facial paralysis. I had to wear an eye patch for a year, and it left me with all kinds of confidence, self-esteem issues. So a lot of what I'm doing with Menfulness personally is coming from personal experience. You might see a hashtag at the bottom there, don't man up, speak up. That's a big thing for us. We put that in everything. We're trying to encourage guys to communicate and not just, carry the burden of mental health issues on their shoulders. Menfulness came from something called Yorkie Dads, which again, some of you on the call might have heard of. We set that up in 2016, and the idea was that we're all parents, we're all in our late 30s, early 40s, and you have online support groups like Mumbler and Mumsnet, which are all tailored towards mums and supporting mums and getting them to share experience and ask questions. And we just said, there's nothing for dads. There's no equivalent for dads. So we started one on Facebook. And that's currently got 1,000 members, and we won awards for it. It really took off. But what was interesting was, as we were going along, guys were opening up in the group on mental health issues outside of being a parent. Sometimes they were related to being a parent, because as we know, if we've got any parents on the call, it can be quite stressful at times. But we thought, there's something going on here. So we started Menfulness, which was essentially the same thing, an online community. And the whole point of it is it's all about shared experience and peer support. We want to normalize men talking about mental health and remove those stigmas. Chris was mentioning that earlier. They absolutely do exist, and it can be for whatever reason, overcoming barriers, personal reasons. It can be a generational thing, social anxiety, pressures that we all have in life, but they do exist. And another thing that sort of underlines what we do is we have some input into suicide prevention schemes in York. Male suicide rates are worryingly high. I'm not going to say the exact figure because I can't remember what it is, but in York especially, it's unacceptably high. And it's the sort of thing that makes you take notice and think, why is that? Especially in the sort of 40 to 50-year-old age bracket. So we've really taken off with Menfulness. It's really starting to go somewhere. A key aspect, if you can see at the bottom of the screen there, is that we're not trained counsellors or life coaches, and we don't claim to be. It's best exemplified in the line there that says grassroots preventative to intervention. We kind of operate at both ends of the spectrum, if you like. So we are very much a preventative organisation, guys who might have a few issues. We can get them out and about, we can get them engaging and talking to each other and, giving peer support at very much a grassroots level. And then at the other end of the scale, we've established a relationship with, or partnership, I should say, with Serendipity Counselling in York, where if guys do put their hands up and say, yo, I'm really struggling here and I need some help, we can refer them to Serendipity Counselling, and they can access affordable counselling usually within a week, which, is a huge thing for us. And we've got evidence now that we've referred roughly about 70 guys in the last year, and we have evidence, so we've probably saved a few lives doing that. So there's definitely something there. So just moving on, in terms of current activities that we have, these are all listed here. These are all weekly. A lot of them, I should say. So we have a walk and talk, a social circuits. We have football 3 nights a week. We've started our own allotment in York that guys get involved with. I've started a session with the York Knights Rugby League team. So we have a drop-in sort of coffee session on a Monday night. So we're trying to think of different ways to get guys out and engaging. We've got Spotify accounts now. We're getting sponsorship deals through. We started a retro gaming night in York last night, which was a great success. We had about 30 guys turn up at a pub in Acomb, playing old school Nintendo games. I think I'd certainly get out of bed to do that. I'm that sort of age group. So yeah, it was great, and there's more to come. So we're keeping busy. We're doing things that we can. All our activities are either free or very low cost. We want to make sure they're accessible. And we have had some real success stories through these. One lad who was really struggling with the relationship breakup, family issues, work. I believe he went through the counselling. Obviously, there's confidentiality issues and things, so I won't say any more than that. But he came down to the football sessions that we do. loved it so much that he basically runs it now for us. And he said it's absolutely turned him round. It's given him some focus. It's given him a support network that he didn't have previously. And you know, that makes it all worthwhile when we get things like that. Just moving on, what you can see here is a few examples of some like a publication that we did. We designed a 20 top tips manual, if you can see what we did there, that's gone out and about. And again, that's purely from our own experience and the experience of members of the group that we've put in there. Think, you know, little tips that might work. We've had posters and banner stands designed. The Grand Opera House, you can see a photo there, people holding the posters. They've put them up in the Opera House permanently for us. And the first night, when was it? It was on Tuesday night. Jimmy Carr was playing there, and he requested that we be his charity for the night, and he plugged us on stage. So we got a bit of a celebrity rub there. So that was really cool. The next step that we have at the moment is we are doing a business case and an impact report. It's not finished yet. We're just in the sort of second or third draft of it. But I'll be happy to share that with the group if people want to get in touch after this, once it is completed. We are considering whether we become a registered charity. A lot of people are pointing us towards that. But obviously that's quite a big step because we do this as volunteers. I'm personally, I'm NHS, I'm sustainability manager for York and Scarborough Teaching Hospitals Trust. So yeah, we do all this outside of our own work. So, you know, becoming a registered charity is quite a big step for obvious reasons. So we're just finding out what we can do, but we do feel like it's starting to snowball a little bit. And I'll just finish off. I've put my email address at the bottom there. If anyone wants to get in touch after this, please do. I'm happy to take any questions at the end of the session as well, obviously. We do have a lot in the pipeline, like I said, as well as the business case. We've got all kinds of things in the pipeline, potentially, like a potential coffee brand someone's come up to us to do. We're in talks with both universities at the moment. O2 on a national level want to meet with us. So it's an exciting time, and we certainly don't see ourselves as being in kind of any competition with any other similar organisations or anything like that. We're just doing our thing. We're very open to having discussions about partnership working with anyone. But we honestly think what we are doing at the moment works. The impact study that we've got shows this. You know, we've got actual evidence that what we're doing, the model that we've got, is working. So yeah, we're really pleased with how it's going, and yeah, I'm happy to take any questions if anyone has any. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. That's a really important and really great service that you've got there, and thank you for taking the time to share that with us today. Hopefully we can kind of run to questions at the end of the session if anybody's got any. So we'll go on to the next one. So we have Fit Mums and Friends, and we've got David and Laura. So David and Laura, if you want to jump on. Hi both.
Hello.
I'll let you kick off. I'll let you guys kick off and introduce yourselves.
Okay, well, hi everyone. I haven't got any screens to share with you. It's just me. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about Fit Mums and Friends, and then we've got David as well, my friend David, who's at another club, and then he's going to share his story with you, if that's okay with you, David. And then I'll hop on at the end and just give you a little bit more information about another thing that we've got going on at Fit Mums. So I'll crack on. My name's Laura. I am the club coordinator for Beverley Fit Mums and Friends. So Fit Mums and Friends with the emphasis on friends. So we're very much a club for men and women. We're a local charity. We have 11 clubs at present across Hull and East Yorkshire, North Yorkshire, South Yorkshire and Lincolnshire. Very much a community-based club, welcoming men and women. We've got loads going on at the minute. So our clubs offer predominantly running. So we offer 1 to 6 mile runs. You can choose whatever suits you. We have a trained leader on every run. So something to suit every ability, from complete newcomers to people doing amazing marathons, challenges, etc. several of our clubs also have a fitness walk, which is usually 2 to 3 miles, pacier walk. So you're talking, you're in the fresh air, but you're trying to get your heart rate going a little bit. So you've got all the benefits of the run, just a bit more of a steady pace. We've also recently launched a set of bereavement walks, so Together in Grief, a programme of walks for anyone that's been affected by bereavement, anybody that's lost anyone special to them. Various locations, obviously I can share all this information with you, take any questions at the end, point you towards our website, etc. But yes, Together in Grief walks for, I think people find it easier to walk and talk, perhaps rather than sat down, when you're outside in the fresh air walking, it might be easier to sort of share how you're feeling. We've also got Let's Get Going, another programme of walks, a bit more gentle this time for anybody affected by COVID. So that's all of us, we've all been affected by the pandemic. Yeah, so Let's Get Going, again, gentle walks with trained leaders at various locations around the local area. The next thing we've got coming up, in addition to those two things, is Nordic walking. So we've got a new group of instructors that have trained to deliver Nordic walking sessions in Cottingham and Beverley. They'll both be starting at the beginning of December. Male and female instructors on the sessions, and again, really fun, really energetic, out in the fresh air. We tend to go out whatever the weather, so come rain or shine, we'll be there. So if it's chucking it down with rain, stick your waterproof on, and we'll still be there to, walk and talk, Nordic walk, whatever. But yeah, that's a brilliant exercise for getting your heart rate going. And again, all of our sessions are outdoors, fresh air, exercise, sociable, so we're encouraging that walk and talk situation. Okay, so that's me for now. I'll pass over to David, who's going to share a bit about his story, and then I'll hop back on at the end.
Okay, thank you. I did one of these talks a few years ago and shared my story at the time. But if I was going to carry on, I think it would take me quite a long time to take the full session up. So I tried to keep it really brief and talk about my experience. So in my life before I was involved with Fit Mums, I used to have a cycle basically of 2 years, a 2-year cycle. So for 18 months, I'd be quite fine. For 6 months, so 18 months, I'd go into quite a bad depression and sort of reach out to doctors, maybe get a bit of medication, a bit of counselling at the time, a little bit of a sticky plaster. But that was the basic life that I was living. At the end of 2014, things took a turn for the worse for me because my 6 months depression never ended and it just continued into that. And 2015 ended up being a real year of crisis. I was hospitalised twice in that year. I self-harmed for the first time, and I also made my first visit to the Humber Bridge to look at ending my life at that time as well. In 2016, I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, or as it's known now, emotionally unstable personality disorder. And it made sense. People don't like labels, people don't like diagnosis, but for me, it was a real eye-opener because it's sort of one of the areas in there is BPD is there is a real high of impulsivity in life, and we can change our sort of mood within minutes. And then it was just like, oh, now I know why I react this way. And I was picked up by a long-term mental health team and got up and finally, after a 2-year wait, started some long-term therapy. So how does that form into Fit Mums? Basically, while I was going through my therapy, things were really settling down. I could start to think about things, try and break down that impulsivity, so start to be aware of emotions and feelings and how I react to those. So I decided that obviously my mental health had been struggling, but we're a whole health, mental health and physical health, and my physical health was just as bad. I hadn't done anything actually for a few years due to sometimes not being able to get out the door in relation to my mental health. A friend tried to get me to join Fit Mums for quite a while. I always use a tagline saying, running, it's not for me, you never see a happy jogger. And that's how I was there. So one day, I think after a while, she nagged and I went along and I joined a 1 mile run. And at that time, I struggled to run that 1 mile, and I ran it in about 14 minutes, I think, but with great support from the leaders at the time. The great thing about, I think, running or walking or whatever we do, whatever activity we do, is that we're running alongside people and we can chat as we're going along, especially if your fitness goes up. I couldn't chat much when I first started. But you can sort of talk and there's no eye contact. I find that's really good. So you're not sort of sat facing each other and trying to chat. People sort of open up conversations a lot more because you're running alongside. In Fit Mums, I continued building up my sort of mileage and my support, made lots and lots of friends, which is something that I didn't have before. I was very isolated. I was a male on my own, living in my own apartment. In the year of my crisis, my marriage broke down. I became homeless. I lost access to my children at that time. So things were really difficult and I was sort of very socially isolated. So Fit Mums to me was a really good place to go to just to sort of meet other people, but also to build up my confidence. And running at the end of that, when you finish a run and you achieve something, that was much better than taking any medication that I'd taken. Your endorphins and such like were fabulous. I decided to try and give something back to Fit Mums while I was there. So I later on that year, in the end of 2019, I became a mental health champion through English Athletics, and just into the next year became a run leader at Eastall at the time, but I'm now currently at the Our Bullfrey Club. I would like to think that, you know, Fit Mums has been the answer to my mental health. Of course it has. It's been great to a degree, but obviously I still got BPD and I still have my days and I still have troubles. And I think life was really good, but what I found is with not working, the benefit system sometimes can be really sort of judgmental and trying to negotiate that and go through a health assessments and things. So I took a really serious overdose in 2019, the end of 2019. To be honest, the amount of medication that I took, I shouldn't have woken up, but did. But what I found around that is actually the support that I received from people and the friends that I made in Fit Mums was really good. I didn't feel abandoned. People didn't feel that I didn't feel judged. I didn't feel that anybody was looking down on me, and I could get out and support. 2020, difficult year for all of us. Obviously, COVID came along, meant that groups couldn't meet anymore. So we had to look at what we could do to do things, especially for people like myself, because going to a group for that socialisation was altogether was just taken away in a day. So we started doing lots of virtual events and creating things and keeping up virtual communities where people could talk in. We did sessions on Zoom like yoga and Pilates and strength and conditioning things, just so that people could see each other and keep that in. In my own journey, I've now become an assistant coach in Fit Mums. Laura talked about some of the things we do. We also do juniors, so work with children from the age of 5 through as well. So I've started that, and it's allowed me to build up my fitness. So in this year, I've been doing a challenge. As Laura said, there's some crazy people who do marathons out there. I ended up running my first marathon last year, and I'm last September. I think I'm now on number 18. So I'm fundraising for our Mike Barlow Memorial Fund at the moment, where I'm running a half marathon every week and a marathon every month. And that's just a fund so that when anybody wants to join Fit Mums, finances don't become a problem for them. They can apply and they can get that. Where did the story end at the moment? It's going well. I start coaching course this weekend, and as from the weekend after, I've just got a new job. So back into the real world again, working for Hull and East Yorkshire Mind. So I'm hoping the link's in there and I'll be able to use my old story and my access to help other people. Back to you, Laura.
Thank you, David. Thank you so much for sharing that. So just finally to finish up, to let you know about a new project that we are launching at the start of January next year called In the Pink. We're actually relaunching. We've run In the Pink before as a programme. Sadly, due to COVID, everything kind of fell by the wayside there. But we're relaunching in January 2022. And In the Pink is basically a scheme where we understand that it's not easy for people to access a session, a group such as Fit Mums. We know that we're all really friendly and that it's a great group, but there are so many barriers to people walking through the door for the first time. You know, it can be really daunting to see a big group of people all in their running gear that chat and that seem, you know, that all know each other. So in the pink, we will provide a volunteer supporter. You know, you can refer yourself onto the scheme, or anybody else can refer you on a friend, a mental health professional, a midwife, you know, anybody can refer you into the scheme, and we will match you up with a volunteer supporter at your local club that will basically attend Fit Mums with you for the first 3 sessions, and just buddy up with you. You know, they'll just be there to meet you outside the venue, walk through the door, introduce you to people. And the idea is that by the time you've attended for 3 sessions, you'll probably recognise somebody. You might have known somebody there already. You've probably chatted to a few people. And we're just facilitating the movement of new people into the group, but with the addition of a buddy, a friend to go along with them. So that's the next thing that we'll be launching in January. You can get in touch with me at inthepink@fitmums.org.uk. I can post all of these email addresses that you can, you know, get in touch with us if you're interested in any of the things that you've heard about today. But also I'd encourage people to just have a look at our website and have a look at our Facebook pages, because we post pictures after all of our sessions, and it just gives you a really good idea of who we are and what we're all about. And that's us. That's Fit Mums and Friends. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Laura, David. Again, a fantastic service. And David, thank you for telling your story there. I think that people every day go through as well. So just next on the agenda, we have Paul at Hull for Heroes.
Hello there.
Hi, Paul.
Hi.
Hiya. I'll let you crack.
All right, brilliant.
Sorry, I'll let you crack on.
Yeah, no, I could hear that. Okay, so I've got no screens to share with you, thankfully, so I don't have to mess about with technology because I'm rubbish at it anyway. So my name's Paul Matson. I'm the chairman and founder of Hull for Heroes. A charity totally set up by accident. Basically, I was a soldier back in the 80s, and when I left the forces, I ended up homeless. I fell into the gutter, basically. I'm not even 100% sure why. I just struggled when I came out. I'd lost all my friends at home had gone, and I found myself twirling down into the gutter, turned to drink and turned to drugs, and then come to a fateful day where I'd been on the streets for 14 months and I decided to kill myself. I knew this was the only way out of the situation I was in, and once I took that decision, I actually started to feel better, as mad as that sounds. That morning, someone tapped me on my shoulder and said, "Look, can I help you, son?" And I said yes. And basically this lady took me home. Her husband was an ex-soldier. He understood, washed me, bathed me. I had a photograph of me when I was a soldier, and she showed me that in a mirror against what I was then, and said, "Which one do you want?" And I chose the soldier looking one, basically. So literally from that moment, my life turned around. I started eating properly, got a small job as a builder, and became a builder myself, and cracked on with life. Just got on with it, never fought back, never looked back really, and just got on with life. Obviously I had memories, but I always thought I was the only one on earth really that had fell down when they came out of the forces, until I worked on a program called DIY SOS, and we renovated a street in Manchester. The street was for veterans. It was absolutely fantastic that I was doing this to help my fellow men and women, if you like, but a wonderful feeling. And as we were working on it, I talked to other people who were helping, and they'd had similar stories. They struggled when they came out of the forces, and it seemed to be every second person that I spoke to that had been in the forces had a similar thing, although not gone to homelessness into them extremes, but had struggled in some way or other. And I thought, well, this is fantastic. I'm not some sort of weakling. I'm not the only one. And I felt really good about it. Finished what we were doing, came back to Hull, parked at some traffic lights, and looked across at some derelict houses and thought to myself, I'm a builder. Lots of my friends are builders. If only a few of us could join up and and come together and build or renovate a house for a veteran, wouldn't that be great? So I posted these words up onto Facebook and threw my phone down, carried on with my coffee, picked up my phone a couple of minutes later and it had 500 likes, and then carried on to 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. And I was thinking, oh my God, I think the most likes I'd ever had in my life was 3. So wonderful, great, that was getting some attention, all that sort of thing. But looked and everybody was saying, do it, we'll back you, do it, we'll come together. And a week later, 10 people had formed, all strangers. We all had a chat, and a week after that, we were renovating a house for a veteran. And it was absolutely fantastic, a wonderful feeling, wonderful to get this veteran the sort of help that he needed and his family needed at the time, and got him into this new home, helped him find work. People were helping us, businesses were helping us all over the place. And we thought, this is wonderful. We've got to do it again. And we did it again, and we did it again and again. A charity formed, and we are what we are now. And basically, we knew that one day, we'd have to build our own houses, and we came up with a concept of the Veterans Village. A concept of training, housing and support all on one site. So when you leave the forces, you move into the village and you learn how to become a civilian with all the help around you, with the help of the CCG, the NHS, universities. Everybody is on board to help us help others. And literally, that's what we're working to, and that will start next year. Hull for Heroes as a whole has always run in front of us. We've come up with ideas, left, right, and Brands Home Centre, if you like. But basically we're doing all sorts of things. So over the past 5 weeks, we've taken 13 veterans out of homelessness, helped them find homes, and continuing helping them rebuild their lives and moving forward. But we're setting up groups, out and about groups, coffee mornings all over the East Riding. The last one we've set up in Beverley, which gained 30 veterans straight away, but then 30 veterans, we can get them out and about and doing other things as well. So we've got all sorts of projects running all over the place, of running projects, walking projects, cycling, camping, everything you can think of that we can do, and all of it is free. All of it is helping veterans and their families. Most recently, we've helped a family whose son took his own life, George Ellis. George was 24, served in the Yorkshire Regiment, and took his life in April this year. I generally have to work with the families after this episode happens for them. Awful thing to do, an awful job for me as well, I must admit, but it's a needs must. What we've done with this particular family is we've set up a men's military talking group. We have Andy's Man Club in the area and things like that, but most military men won't talk to civilian men, and it is a struggle for us on that front, and they won't talk to civilian organisations for whatever reasons. They just feel, what would they ever know? What would they know about the things I've gone through if they've never been there themselves? And we understand that. So this men's talking group we've named after George's nickname, basically, which is Geo, and that means get emotion out. It is, I have to say, absolutely fantastic. I know I've gone forward, I've been a builder and I run a charity, but I do still struggle. And this particular group has made me understand that I do struggle and I do need to talk. And I've certainly talked on this group, and many of my team have talked on this group, but already in its infancy, running 8 weeks, we've had 3 people on the group saying I would have taken my own life if it wasn't for this group, and just begged us to do more of the groups and want to do more for us. And it seems that we can open up between each other. A room surrounded in veterans need veterans, and we're able to talk. We have a different way of talking to normal people. We don't mind swearing at each other, and we don't mind stopping each other in midstream of talking and take the mickey and all them sort of things. But it actually really, really works. It sort of puts you back into the feeling of being in the forces and surrounded by your friends who all take the mickey and such like that. And it really, really does work. And we intend to take it onwards and push it further. We've started a ladies talking group in the name of Lisa, a girl who was going to be part of our team. Unfortunately, she was taken away to work away in the forces, and then come back and join our team. Once she'd finished her tour, whilst on tour, she took her own life. So we've named the group after her as well. So we are moving on. It's moving into the prison next week, to go into one of the groups that's in there to talk to prisoners, and then on to the prison staff, and then on to the female prison staff in there as well. So we've got stuff going on all over the place. But I think our biggest achievement, we may be building a veterans village, we may be doing all sorts of things, and maybe helping people out of homelessness, but helping people stop taking their own lives is probably the best thing we've ever done. And the GEO group, I feel, is the best thing we've ever done. And I hope it goes on. And that's us.
Thank you, Paul. And again, what a great thing you've done, and you're doing for all the veterans out there. So, and thank you for talking today as well, quite openly. And I know some people are just popping some things into the chat, which are really useful. Some of the Humber Coast and Vale website is also in there. So we, last but not least, we'll go on to Henry, who is from Men's Sheds. Henry, welcome, and I'll let you carry on with your
Thank you very
presentation.
much. Morning, folks. So I'm Henry Gowman. I'm chair of Porrington and District Men's Shed, and by the way, somehow or other, I've become an ambassador for the Men's Shed network. Can I just thank the guys for their powerful testimony? Very moving and very uplifting. So Men's Sheds kicked off in Australia mid-90s to increase social interaction amongst all men, to encourage discussions about mental health and well-being, because as we've been hearing, men just ain't good about talking about themselves in any meaningful way. They'll make side comments, they'll make all kinds of remarks, but very little about their own inner feelings. So this was the premise on which it started, and it's grown like Topsy, really. It first came to the UK about 10 years ago now. There are now knocking on the door of 600 men's sheds across the UK. My own personal story, very briefly, son of a soldier, joined the Royal Navy, 12 years in the Royal Navy, saw active service hither and thither. Different in the Navy to being in the Army, in that you move from ship to ship to ship to ship, and you never see your last colleagues ever again, more often than not. I then joined the police service, and it was a similar situation, station to station, squad to squad. Married, a Norfolk girl, retired from the police service, moved up from Hampshire, my home county, to Norfolk, and I was lost, geographically and a tad mentally lost. I eventually reconnected myself, but what I didn't have were a background of friends to talk about anything. Everybody was a stranger. Nobody knew about me or my background. A guy from Australia knew about men's sheds, put a shout out locally for a meet in the pub to talk about a men's shed. I went along there with half a dozen other guys, and after about 4 or 5 pints, we thought this was a cracking idea. So those guys have been together ever since. They're now my trustees. I'm now the chair of the shed. And we've been on a journey of constant movement so far, setting up a shed, having to move, setting up a shed, having to move. We're currently in an agricultural barn behind a pub, but unfortunately the pub landlord is very ill, and I can see we're going to have to move sometime soon. But very, very fortunately, I made an application for a grant which was successful, and the Norfolk County Council Social Infrastructure Fund has just given us enough money for us to build a permanent shed, and my local parish council have given us permission to build it on a redundant bowls green. So this time next year, we should be safe and sound in a permanent position and able to do what we want without upsetting the neighbours. So what do Men's Shed do? How do we deliver a service to do with mental health? Well, none of us are professionals. We care, but we're not carers. We do jobs together. And although men won't talk face to face, once they get to know each other, once they feel as if they're in a comfortable, safe place, they will talk shoulder to shoulder, which is our strapline. And we engage in tasks. Some guys bring in hobby stuff, but mainly our shed and other sheds get engaged in community work. So people bring us stuff to fix. Some of it's heirloom stuff. Don't get us confused with a repair shop. The nearest we get to being a repair shop is a sort of a cross between repair shop and Last of the Summer Wine, really. But we do fix things, and occasionally I'm stunned as to what we achieve collectively. Whilst we're doing that, we talk, we exchange experiences, friendships form, support networks form, and people feel better about themselves because they have a reason for getting up in the morning. They feel good about what they do. They feel part of their community. They feel less of an outsider. So in recent months, a guy, not a member, with motor neurone disease was still at home, and he was destroying the household furniture, losing his balance, falling against everything as he moved from room to room. And the people couldn't get any help from anywhere, so we pitched up. We moved the bedroom downstairs. We reorganized the furniture and the layout, and we repaired all the broken furniture and reinforced it so it could stand his weight being used as handrails, etc. A local village school wanted a reading room snug for one-to-one teaching with reluctant, mainly boys, I have to say, readers. I'm not quite sure where the idea came from, but I came up with the idea of building a huge hollow papier-mâché tree. It may have been because the tree has leaves and a book has leaves, but we did this and it's been remarkably successful. We also built a buddy bench, so if a kid feels out of sorts, left out of play, they sit on the bench, and that's a signal to the other children, I'm feeling lonely, I'd like to be involved, and the other kids come along and join them. This last Christmas, because of COVID, the village couldn't meet around the village Christmas tree, and so at the very last minute, the parish council asked us if we could make them a portable Santa's sleigh to be towed around the village, which we did. It was hugely successful. We've also joined members of the Armed Forces Covenant, but it's quite right what's been said. Servicemen are very reluctant to join an organisation they perceive as civilian because they think that civilians won't understand their position. But of course, many civilians are ex-servicemen. Through Men's Shed, talking to a guy, my Men's Shed, talking to a guy, we realised that we'd both been in the Royal Navy, we'd both been on the same ship at the same time in 1963. Had no idea really, it was on an aircraft carrier and we were in different parts of the ship on doing different occupations, but yeah, there we go. So our shed is a busy and noisy place, but the biggest noise is laughter. And our success was noted recently, and we were made the Community Group of the Year. And we don't, any of us do this for awards or accolades, but by crikey, it does do you good. We have joined, or I have joined to become, and I don't know whether this is a group that you may be aware of or want to join with in a future discussion, the National Academy of Social Prescribing. Social prescribing is becoming a thing, and in some cases it's becoming an inappropriate thing, and some social prescribers or social connectors, community connectors, signpost people to our shed who really shouldn't be there because they're a danger to themselves and a danger to others. And so we do have some difficult conversations, and we're hoping to get things on a more even footing. Mention was made of CIO status. I'm very happy for anybody to contact me about obtaining registered charity status. I've done it now a number of times. I won't say it's extraordinarily easy, but it's as easy as it can be. And the last application I made, it went through and was we made a registered charity within 4 days. I just want to make a mention of the police. We're about to set up a shed for the police, which sounds a bit odd, but I can tell you that the support networks for police are pretty minimal. They're really under the cosh. They are undermanned, understaffed, and they don't get the space that I used to get when I was a police officer of finishing a job, taking a deep breath before you started the next. They're going from job to job to job, washed out, go home, sleep, eat breakfast and repeat. And there's a lot of mental illness servicing within the police service. So that's the next venture, is to set up a police shed. I found the premises, which is a redundant boat shed alongside a river on the Broads. So, hey, what's not to like? Any questions at all, guys, please do get in touch. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Thank you, Henry. And once again, I just want to thank all the groups that have come on today and spoken so openly and shared their stories. We're going to go on to some questions and answers. If anybody's got any questions, please